when we talk about bondage type sins, the sense of the question is, what do we make of repeated patterns over a long period of time, or even addictions that seem impossible to break? I'm getting the sense that's the gist of this question when they talk about bondage type sins. And so what I consider may not matter. What matters is what the Bible says. And let's start with this, that first of all, the Bible's overall sense is that when someone comes to God, there is gradual, consistent, eventual change. Obviously, instantaneous change in our position, but then there's practical change over time. So I don't want to move away from that fundamental principle. However, we have to also admit this, and the Bible teaches this, that sin is a constant fight. We are not yet free from the presence of sin, though its penalty and power have been removed. And so we have to reconcile, how do we continue to struggle and fight and try to kill sin in our life while we are saved, and yet admit that if this sin is continuously present, what does it indicate about that person's spiritual status if the sin that is present continues to win time after time after time? I want to come back to what I preached, and I think it really revolves around the desire. And so the question, do bondage type sins indicate that someone's unregenerate? I would tend to say, in light of the biblical principles in play, that if there's no desire at all to make progress through an addiction type of sin, or a pattern that's ongoing and repeated that's very difficult to break, if there's not even a desire to deal with that and make even incremental steps, that does lean more towards an unregenerate type person than a regenerate one. It's hard to swallow, it's difficult to grasp, maybe tough news to hear. But I think the real question is, what's going on inside of the person who is on the outside dealing with this addiction, this bondage type behavior? If there's no desire to even make even a little progress over time, step by step, then the real issue is, why is there no appetite for change? And that is a regeneration issue.